Hello, my name is Brian Casey. I'm editor-in-chief of AmpMini.com, and we're here at the 2018 edition of the RSNA meeting in Chicago. I'm pleased to have with me now Dan Corbett. He is Chief of Business Development at management company Radiology Business Solutions, and Dan has been recruiting radiologists for 3 decades now. Dan, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
So we're going to talk about the job market for radiologists. It's been through some peaks and valleys. It seems like for a long time it's been in a valley. But you're seeing some pretty positive signs that the job market for radiologists is actually improving quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really radically changed over the last couple of years.
What kind of? So let's talk a little bit about the valley. So the market was really tough. A lot of medical students thought that radiology wasn't a good specialty to specialize in. What were some of the factors that caused that?
Well, a lot of it was the economic climate. I think that a lot of radiologists, senior radiologists, didn't retire because the stock market was not doing well, and I think that there was a lot of changes with the Obamacare plan that affected imaging, a lot of it in the finance side. So mostly the senior radiologist recruitment trend seemed to move on. It kept going. So I think that the numbers explain themselves. I think that there's, statistically like 8,000 radiologists that are still clinically practicing medicine over the age of 65, and that is very high for any specialty or any industry.
And these are all folks that are going to be retiring soon, correct?
Yes, and they are quickly retiring. I think we're seeing that now. I think that's the number one factor that caused the market to change so quickly, and it was a quick change.
So the pendulum has swung back, and so the job market for radiologists is very positive again. What sort of things are you seeing in your recruiting efforts?
A total lack of candidates. That's, we recruit for our management clients who we've got like 11 around the country, and they're all recruiting, and we're planning for retirements and hopefully not having any people leave, but just due to growth in volume and retirement. So we've already placed 8 radiologists in our practice this year so far, and several more that we're working to close. So the lack of candidates, whereas 2 years ago, I would run an ad on the ACR job site, and I'd get 30 responses in the first 2 days. And now I would run the same ad for the same group, and I'd be lucky if I got 1 or 2 in the first couple months. So it's just a lack of candidates, a lack of movement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So kind of tough, makes your job tougher, but it's great news if you're a radiologist.
Absolutely.
What sort of advice do you have for radiologists in terms of how to make themselves more marketable commodity?
Well, the one thing we're seeing, and there's a wide gamut of job opportunities out there, different styles of practice, academic, private practice, small, large. So the key for most, if you're interested in a private practice, is versatility. Most of the groups out there that are recruiting the good practices that I would like to think are, good to medium-sized private practices of, say, 10 to 30 radiologists. It's very difficult for groups that size to super specialize, subspecialize. So most of our groups, my recruits, have been looking for general radiologists. You can have a fellowship. Some of them need MSK, some of them need neuro, some of them need IR. But for the most part, they're going to expect those new partners to work as generalists to get it done. So if you're really looking to be a super specialist, and if you want to do 70 to 80% MSK, you have to look at those bigger subspecialty groups. But most of the medium-sized practices want you to be a generalist in nature. So whether you have a body imaging fellowship or a mammography fellowship, mammography is a little bit different, but the more you can do, the better. The versatility is the key. As a candidate that comes up and I'm an MSK, but I'm okay doing general radiology, if you can do all of the other stuff, because the key to these groups is get the work done and get it done timely.
Well, that's interesting because when you go to a meeting like RSNA, everything is so hyper-specialized these days, but you're saying that being able to be kind of a jack of all trades is still a really valuable skill to have.
That's the real world. There's what everybody talks about, and the trends and news and all that, but the real world is in the trenches. And there are several things. One is that there is a shortage of radiologists. Almost everybody's recruiting. There's 1,000 jobs plus on the ACR, and the volumes are going up per radiologist, so expect to work hard. And join groups that are good and going to treat you right, but you have to get the work done, and that's really the key. So anybody that really kind of silos themselves are going to have less opportunity, and those radiologists that are interested in can do the work and don't mind sharing the load, and they're going to be really in demand, and they're going to get great jobs.
And what about salaries? Are salaries going higher with demand being so high?
They are. That trend follows, and starting salaries are a matter of pain for a group. If the more they need somebody, the more flexible they're going to be. Those groups that are stratified in how they make offers to doctors, whether they're experienced physicians or they're fellows coming out of training, the more rigid you are, the less success you're going to have, the more flexible. So we tend to advise our groups to look at each candidate based on their merits and what they're going to bring to the table. And if they're somebody with 5-10 years experience, they're going to hit the ground running and are going to be able to put output production the same as a partner, then you need to pay them more to attract them because they have other opportunities.
How long do you think this current market is going to last? I mean, do you see this situation going on for the foreseeable future?
I see it going on for quite a while. I actually think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
So the worst being demand for radiologists.
Yes. So which brings us to another important part. If it's tough to recruit radiologists, the best thing to do is not to have to recruit radiologists. So my advice to groups is to try to run your business better, be more transparent, be fair and equitable to new people coming in, and so you don't lose people. And if you don't have attrition, you don't have to recruit. So the groups that are going to do well as far as recruiting a new talent are going to be the ones that are going to be fair and transparent and have good business practices and good management. And the ones that aren't are going to struggle. And just remember that the work needs to get done. The volume is not going lower, it's going up. So we're going to need more radiologists. They're going to work harder. So young radiologists coming into training, expect to work hard. Don't expect to be perfect right off the bat, but good groups will allow for that and train them and mentor them.
Right. So, very good. Dan, great advice.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks for being with us. Signing off for AmpMini.com, my name is Brian Casey.